All right, it's been a long time coming for the Brazilians in Titans League Plat. Here we have them, though. We've got Miguel, who is 4th place in Season 1 of Platinum, and then 4th place of Season 2 of Platinum. So he's been consistently good enough to stay in that top 24. He's playing as the Malians here in his first round up against his longtime friend and teammate, Dogao, who's playing as the Chinese here. Now, these guys are behind where they should be, so you're going to go from not seeing them play to seeing them play with a bit more frequency as we try and catch up and make sure the players get their 5 rounds in. But it was important to us this season, if players are teammates, have them play the first week, and then, you know, the rest of the structure continues. So we've got it here. Now, if you would have asked me last year, I probably would have said Dogao 2-1 here. I think Dogao is a more complete player. I think he's got a little bit more killer instinct to him. And Miguel, he doesn't have the same level that he could rise to like Dogao. Like Dogao genuinely, probably not in people's top 10 right now, but I think that he could be if he, you know, really gets back to some of the shape he was in the past. Dogao's really good. Former top 10 players, had some big tournament results. And a lot of his biggest tournament results have actually been with Miguel by his side, you know, being his teammate too, which is kind of the interesting aspect of this. The thing about this season is that I have not seen Miguel play much at all. I'm close with Miguel, text him on occasion. Guy hasn't been playing the game a lot, right? It's not putting as much time into the game right now. He's more busy with life, and, you know, things just weren't what they were last year. So for that reason, I think that Miguel's really got to make sure he snacks a win here. Like, this group is going to be tricky. You've got some motivated players. And if Miguel, you know, were to get 3-0'd here against Dogao with ACCM still in the group, Velez is still in the group, and then, who knows, a motivated Drac and a motivated Margugu, it might finally be Miguel's time to get relegated down to gold. So I know Miguel's overall quality is good enough to stay up. He showed it before. He's a really good player. I don't know what we're going to see here from him, in all honesty. As right now, he's going to go for a very different build for Lands Madness, Game 1. And he's going for a Barracks. It feels like this is the first time I've seen a Drush build or a Militia build on this map ever. I can tell you the last time I've ever seen this. It's like everyone seems to be going Scouts these days. Now, Dogao being Chinese, I think they're one of the best civs for Lands Madness. They are probably ban-worthy on the draft almost every single time as well. I actually just want to take a quick look at the draft. What happened civ-wise? Was it a first pick from Dogao? Okay, first pick Chinese, and Miguel had banned Gurjaras and Romans. Interesting civs to ban there. But maybe he was planning on picking the Chinese, and he didn't get it, or maybe he felt like he had a strong counter to the Chinese. But Miguel's making army now. He needs to locate Dogao. Otherwise, this whole investment isn't necessarily worth it. And he'll find himself up to feudal age later. But Chinese, more builds, cheaper techs, great options. It's like if they don't take damage by mid-feudal, that's where the civilization feels really smooth and really strong. Yeah, Mad V, there's one berry bush underneath your TC on this map. So I guess if you were Gurjaras, it would actually be 2. Well, did Dogao see that? Like, I do not like how we are drushing with no vision right now. Like, I feel like this is a sign that the strategy might not suit the situation. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Okay, well, now Dogao knows about this. And now the rush is half as strong. Waltzed right into the TC here. So I'm glad I prefaced the cast with, well, this might not be the best shape ever for Miguel, because he tried to do something different. And instead, I think he ends up trying to do some level of harassment by at least attacking the house here. Can still click up behind this. His build in general is pretty good. He should be on his way to feudal age after he drops off a little bit of food. And there he goes. And Dogao, not wanting to lose the house, actually just quick walls in his villager here, is just going to repair. But again, this is at least forcing some level of reaction from Dogao, which I will say is a positive for Miguel. Miguel versus Dogao. Did I say that? Oh, God. If I said it in game 1, we're probably going to have some problems. This might make Dogao think about an archer range now. Like, because oftentimes your opponent's going to go for a range follow-up. But he's going to open strong, open with scouts. He's scouted around. Looks like he took a bit of damage on his scout at some point. Maybe briefly attacked a villager on the berries or the woodline or something. We do see a spearman here. Now, this is where Miguel needs to make sure he doesn't lose his scout. The scout becomes the most important part of this army now. And Dogao just going to ease into this, get some eco upgrades, try and get the farms going. A great job from Miguel, who moves away now. Will click the militia onto the spear and just runs away with that scout. You do not want to lose the scout. Behind this, we've got Vills on gold. With Malians, you could easily go for all your eco upgrades and also an archer range. And there's the archer range, so it's probably going to be spears. Miguel doesn't know yet. He hasn't scouted his opponent's opening, but I'm sure he expects scouts because Chinese normally do that. And I like this from Miguel. Is making Dogao work for every little thing here. Look at that, even baiting some TC fire there. That was really nifty. That's some confident stuff. I like the energy. He knows he's vulnerable on the berries. So there he goes. Dogao actually not taking his teammate's sheep. Just interesting. I would... Dude, these guys were actually my teammates. I teamed with them, and they did pretty well, I think. It was a good time. I would steal Miguel's sheep and Dogao's sheep all day if we were in a 1v1 tournament against each other. All day. I would be eating them. Nom, 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 nom. I'd have no problems with it. Maybe Dogao doesn't notice. I don't know. But Miguel's noticed Dogao's here. Scouting, just checking the gold. And it's going to be Scout Skirm for Dogao, which is pretty good to be into right now against what is 1 archer and 2 spearmen. And typically what happens is your opponent goes into skirms and then you go into scouts from Miguel's spot. And he's got the wood to add the stables. I'm just not sure the food eco is necessarily there for scouts to feel natural right now. And, it just could become problematic here, right? Like, the Chinese are already so good. But if you picked Magyars or if you just opened scouts, you have more offensive presence. Look how Dogao's playing this. Dogao's just like, all right. He doesn't need to be compelled to go for villager kills because he already has more vills with his civ. And, Miguel. Oh, Miguel saw the range. And he just got out of there from that spearman. So Miguel's unit control has been really solid thus far, honestly. I think now you just back up because you know your opponent will have skirms, and now you add that stable. And then you're okay. Or try and get away. This feeling, it must feel awful. Look at Dogao just slowly encircle this army. Slow it down. That was beautiful. And now the skirms are here, and the skirms can clear up all of this. And while the spearmen do have a little bit more pierce armor with the Malians, in the end, they're going to end up going down to the skirmishers. And Dogao has played this one so smooth this far. Really well played. Miguel is going to get away with just 2 archers, but it's like, what are his 2 archers going to accomplish on their own if there's no spearmen? So now we see a market from Miguel. Honestly, the flow of the game hasn't looked good. He now recognizes this is just going to be rough against the Chinese. So this is a risky play from him. He's going to mark it up. He's probably going to try and rush Castle Age. Hope that maybe in early Castle Age he can accomplish something, whether that be with crossbow or maybe with like knights or camels. But not the type of position you would ever want to find yourself in a Land Madness game. It's not a very hasn't been a confidence. What's the word I'm looking for? It hasn't filled me with confidence for Miguel in this series. A player who's normally pretty good on these types of maps, right? I just don't think he's really gone for an opening that helps him too much. But ultimately, the 2 militia guys, he probably never does if he's not up against Chinese. I think he's like, oh crap, how do I beat Chinese here? And when you lack a little bit of confidence, you go for some strats which are maybe a bit different, and that's how it goes. Dogao's resources looking amazing. Gets another kill here. Hey, 2 Brazilians, and the KD is 7-1. Is that bad to bring up? That's bad to bring up, isn't it? I'm sorry, because this might actually have primarily Brazilians watching right now, for all I know. I apologize. All right? I apologize. Scouts are engaging. Skirms are engaging, and, well, Dogao's going to probably click up soon himself. And he's killing all the villagers from Miguel, and it's just not looking pretty. It's not looking pretty. Listen, guys, as an American, all right, our team is garbage, all right? So if I really did offend somebody there, I apologize, and it's not like we've got something to stand on, right? Encastelate soon for Miguel in a minute. And he's not going to have as many villagers when he gets there. Initially, the skirms came this way, and so he made the tower. And he was thinking it would protect the wood and the gold. But in reality, it doesn't fully protect the gold, and then it doesn't fully protect the wood line either. The tower is just not something you can easily fall back to on this map. And this whole game's been a disaster for Miguel, who comes in as the big underdog. And I'll just repeat what I say every time there's an underdog. Get one win. Get one win, and suddenly this series doesn't feel as bad. You can maybe, especially because this is week 1 for you, get back in shape a little bit and finish strong. Because, by the way, Miguel got, I think 5 wins of the last 6 games to keep himself alive in Season 2. So he has been notoriously slow to start in Titans League. Dogao just looks, he's played borderline flawless here. He's played very clean with everything. Only thing I could maybe critique is, future decisions. Like, does he get certain eco upgrades? But he's played incredibly patient, right? Like, patience with the scouts. Could have dove in here earlier. Didn't do it. That's a 7th kill he's gotten. And you need some sort of counterattack now if you're Miguel. If you don't get a counterattack in soon, Dogao's going to have camels or something in defense. As we see cav archers. Chinese cav archers? Okay, Dogao. Miguel's done the right thing. He's going to counterattack. Dogao sees it. And he gets those quick walls down. Beautiful stuff. Woodline rewalled. Ensuring there's no overchops. Sees the knights that are here. Has monks and camels soon on the way. As actually losing the skirmishers here, which isn't that big a deal at this point. I don't think he'll be too disappointed by. And Dogao's left himself exposed on the front. You could tell how confident he feels after killing 7 villagers to take the berries there. But, the reality is, at this point, the camels can deal with any of the knights, and it feels like Dogao just needs to take it easy. Get a bit of a unit mass going, and once he gets crossbow in combination with camels with this economy, Miguel's going to struggle. The next follow-up would be, you either add the second T seed and try and catch up in villagers, or you maybe go for, continuous all-in with monks and siege in combination, which that seems to be the decision for Miguel. Good micro from Miguel here. It saves the weak knight. Still has 2 full knights here. Here, Miguel pestering away on the wood line. Dogao's not noticing. Dogao's off of his gold. The knights make it through. There is a monk here. Miguel runs away. Ooh. Also a world where these crossbows run headfirst into a scorpion shot. And if the crossbows are out of the picture, then it could be knight and monk, which could work pretty well. This is where Dogao's looking sloppy too, right? I'm not seeing any eco upgrades I would normally expect here. Miguel knows those crossbows have got to be coming. He didn't see them on the front. Probably will see the deer move and know there's something there. Players will look for that. Got 7 knights on the field for Miguel. No bloodlines. No armor, even. But he is back in this wood line, and he's going to kill some villagers there. While the Scorpion, not able to do too much on its own. It's the lack of bloodlines and lack of armor hurts really bad here. But Miguel's in this. It's messy, but he's still in this. Am I allowed to say messy when I'm casting Brazilians? Or am I supposed to say, like, Ronaldinho instead? A lot of football references here. Sorry, I don't know what's gotten into me. I could keep going. It's really the crossbows that are the threat right now, because the knights don't have the tankiness to be able to deal with the crossbowmen. Good one, thank you. Thank you, I'm glad you're proud of me. The Scorpions chasing, knights hoping to get in front so the Scorpions can get hits. Here we go. Let's see at Dogao's micro here. It seems like Dogao thinks he'll lose this army, so he's just going for Vil kills. Honestly, a pretty reasonable decision. You already know you have a big eco lead, and you're probably not going to get away with that army. And unfortunately now for Miguel, it's 2 town centers for Dogao. It is not as clean as maybe he would want it to be, but ultimately has way more villagers. I think a couple monks, couple camels in combination with crossbows should be enough to defend. It's been a messy series. T90 out here trying to be relatable to the sport ball youths. Get out of here. Get out of here. I know my stuff. The amount of people, though, that'll leave comments like, man, T90, I can't believe that you as an American even know who that is. People are always surprised when an American actually watches football, but I don't watch as much as I used to because there's this thing called Age of Empires 2. And I've spent most of the last decade doing that when games are happening. But I do follow it. Yeah, Cav Archer was definitely a misclick, which goes back to what I said earlier. It's rusty, right? Like, no horse collar. Like, I came in thinking that Miguel would be rusty, but I think both players are a little bit rusty. Conversions need to happen for both sides here. The Scorpions for Miguel are the key to try and get hits against the monks and the crossbows. He's actually going to get pretty valuable hits here and save his monks. This would be pretty insane, down 20 villagers, if Miguel could bring this back. It's very rare you see on Land's Madness for a player in Dogao's position to end up losing from here, but it hasn't been pretty. Knight's going to get picked off, but not before a Scorpion goes down. And honestly, I think you just need a couple more camels here and maybe a couple more upgrades here. Dogao, no bloodlines for him either. And monks are going to matter a lot on both sides here, because both players have a lot of cav on the field. Second TC will go up for Miguel eventually. He's got to walk over there first. Both players healing up. These Scorpions here got 6 kills. It could be more. If you engage against the Scorpions with your camels, then the monks are there. Monks in siege, such an important part of every army. Important part of a balanced breakfast. Okay, here's an interesting engagement. Dogao wants to weaken the Scorpions. Monks need to move for Miguel. They don't move, so they'll die. Scorpions getting hits on the crossbows, but in the end, Dogao should be okay here. Well, as long as he focuses down the Scorpion, he'll be okay. Oh, what's happening? Does he know it's still there? He'll be fine. He'll take that Scorpion now. And as we said before, 20 vil lead for Dogao. Actually, it very likely in that exact moment he was dealing with this. That actually explains everything, and I didn't see it. So it doesn't look like he took damage there, and he maybe needed to re-wall. So nice play from Miguel to kind of have the main forced and then also switch to the side. Still feels winnable for Miguel if he could balance certain things out. Like, we're not seeing much counterattacking and from Dogao, and a lot of things could go wrong in theory. Still waiting for that eco to really pay off here for Dogao, though. Has lost a lot of camels and lots of crossbows over the last few moments. But he's up to 17 crossbows now against Cav that doesn't have bloodlines. And yeah, maybe I spoke too soon, and maybe once the crossbow number's at this number, Dogao starts to be moving forward with confidence. Res collected this game. Pretty significant gap, especially with the food eco, which is going to take you into the later stages of the game as well, right? With more villagers, more upgrades. And I think we'll see ballistics soon for Dogao, but Miguel finding more spots. And Miguel just missed an opportunity to kill some villagers there as well, but the crossbows were nearby. Good kills. And if Miguel was like 3 TCs right now, maybe I think there's a chance. Like one big mango shot, and maybe he could stabilize again. He needs the mangonel coming out of here to kill these crossbowmen. The crossbowmen are the biggest problem. The camels aren't really that big of a deal. They can be, obviously, in combination with the crossbows. But if the crossbows are out of the picture, Dogao would be taking these fights. Ooh, what a find. What a find for Dogao. He checked the golds because he knows that Miguel's all over the place. Miguel did land a shot there. Killed a couple crossbows. Oh, but Miguel doesn't see this. That's a huge raid there. And Dogao can continue on to the woodline too. And GG's just called. I mean, just things not really flowing here for Miguel, in all honesty. The opening was awkward. His militia went into the TC. I know he's a player that can sometimes struggle with confidence. So he believes that Dogao is one of the best players ever. Like, they're teammates. They're good friends. But, like, I think Miguel has a lot of respect for Dogao. So I think you come in here, you feel like that. You haven't been playing the game as much as maybe Dogao has. And then your militia hits the town center. And I'm sure even at that moment, things were probably still feeling a little blue for him. So obviously hope things turn around for Miguel for whatever his home map is. Dogao, though, it wasn't the cleanest game I've ever seen from him, but it was the consistency you expect. Honestly, Feudal Age is when he just got such a massive lead. It really felt like it wasn't possible to lose the game from there. Ends the game with 4 TCs and as a pretty well-balanced economy overall. So, will be interesting to see if Miguel can turn it around. You have to avoid getting 3-0'd if you want to stay alive. That seems to be the theme in TTL each season. All right, so here we are, game number 2. And, you know, this is an interesting matchup because I think we have, like, old meta against maybe new meta, though I haven't seen enough games to necessarily know that that's the case just yet. For Dogao, who won the first game, he's gone for the Burgundians, a civ that seems to dominate closed maps these days and is definitely on the newer side. For Miguel, we have the Khmer, which was once like the #1 pick for Hideout. We were just talking about a game actually where Dogao played with the Khmer on Hideout in 2019 or 2020. But there's a lot more civs now. Player preferences have changed. And so, you know, like civs like Malay, Burgundians, Britons maybe been seen a little bit more. Now, I don't think Khmer are bad, right? I'm just curious on what the eco looks like. And the ability to take the map control while going for eco. So Khmer can skip a lot of steps. They don't need their prerequisite buildings to go for a stable or whatever it may be. They could just choose whatever building they want and go for it without having to unlock the next one. And with that, you can pull off a pretty ridiculous fast castle time. With that fast castle time, you can then boom. And I think it's 23 pop. It's pretty sure it's 23 pop. Should be able to execute that. And then you drop the second town center before your opponent's really all that close to reaching Castle Age. The problem with that is everything's so at the limit, you can't do more than one thing. So it's either you boom or you go scouts and delay your boom. And I think on a map like this, where you're pretty far apart, it makes sense to go for the boom. The Burgundians, their upgrades are available in the age prior, and they have the ability to arrive to Castle Age, make scouts, get the light cav upgrade, do all that stuff, and then second town center, third town center freely as well. So I guess it's a more balanced approach with Burgundians, whereas it's a bit more extreme with the Khmer. And I think this actually describes the matchup perfectly. Miguel hasn't been as active. He probably hasn't played as many games with the Burgundians or the Malay or any of these new meta things or current meta. But also, Miguel's the underdog. Sorry. So what are you going to do if they're the underdog? You don't go for the balanced approach. You go for the more extreme approach that can give you an edge, potentially. Okay, so I've literally ran out of everything to talk about matchup-wise. Beyond saying that maybe the relics slightly benefit Dogao because he's got ones a little bit closer to him. So that could be good for him in late game. Could make some arguments that the golds benefit Miguel, though. because the golds, there seems to be 3 golds behind him. And then, like, this gold is more of a neutral than anything. So we'll see. But yeah, we'll chat about other things. Kinch says, how are rankings determined prior to the start of the tourney? Because Miguel was ranked higher than Dogao. It's all based on... It is all entirely based on your performance within the previous system. Or previous season. So in Dogao's case, Dogao came up from gold. So he is going to be lower rank than Miguel, who was 4th place in platinum in the previous season. So I think, like, if you win your group in gold and you're 1st, and you get immediately promoted, you go up the next season, you're 5th rank. And then the players who are 6th rank are the players who won the playoffs from gold, right? And then obviously, like, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way down is how we rank other things as well. So the idea is for the system, like, everything that happens within TTL to all affect the next season and have it not be based on anyone's opinions or anyone's thoughts on any other events or anything. It's all has to work within the system. And I'm really happy with it thus far. What I want to look at the conclusion of Platinum, and it'd be cool to have this data at the very conclusion of it, I'm really curious on how many new players are going up. Like, how much of the food chain has changed from players who've gone up and down. Like, for example, we've had some players who stayed in gold every single time. We've had some players who were, like, promoted down to gold who've never come back, or out of, like, down to gold and then out of gold. I thought initially when we implemented this system, it was going to be the same rotation of players getting promoted and relegated. And thus far, it's been different, which is really exciting. So I'm curious on the overall number of players that have, like, I don't know, been in the top 48 after 3 seasons. I think it's going to be above 60. So, has anyone gone from silver to plat yet? Hearts would have been, well, Lix as well. Lix did. Because Lix was originally in silver, then qualified for gold, and then he went from gold to then make his way to platinum this season. And then there would have been other examples as well. So I guess we're not on season 4 yet, but, like, Heart will be an example of that once come season 4. There's probably 1 or 2 examples as well. By the way, the build that Dogao's doing is a bit faster than what one would typically do if they want the scout build. So I think he's rushing this for a boom because he knows how fast the Khmer can get an edge, which is just an interesting thing to note. How would a new player get into Silver League? Well, you just sign up. The Silver League is just a massive bracket. So I think we had like 1600 as the lowest rank. So if you're 1600 plus, you could enter. Obviously, no 1600 has ever like gone very far. They've all lost like the first round, but you could in theory enter. I think we had, I forget what we capped the silver bracket at. I think it was 156. I could be wrong. It was over 100. So. Anyways, Miguel will be up. Notice that Dogao hasn't even clicked yet. And I think the correct decision here is simply to just add that TC. Miguel is very comfortable with this. I actually have a specific memory of when I was teamed with Miguel and Dogao in a 3v3 tourney, and we were talking builds. And I was like, we were talking about Cumins, and I was like, the build's 19 pop, do this and do that. And Dogao's like, psh. He's like, sweet summer child. He didn't say sweet summer child, but he's like, I can do 18. And then he went to do it, and he had to go 19 pop. I thought it was so funny. I was like, ha! This build isn't that new. This is actually, like, when Dogao played that crazy hideout game in Hidden Cup a couple years back. This is what both players did, is they just boomed up with early TCs. It was a Khmer war. Does the silver bracket depend on the amount of open slots in Gold League? Yes, right? So the way it's supposed to be is there's supposed to be 8 relegated spots out of gold. Every season, there's always been something where it's like the spots are a little bit different. A player not wanting to play, a player being banned for a particular reason. A lot of also, like, if something happens in platinum, the whole food chain is affected. So if like we had Bax drop out of plat, we then needed to get an extra player from gold to go up, which was Lan, because he was the best performing player, which wasn't officially promoted, which then meant we needed to fill an extra spot in gold. So the whole system works within itself, which I think is really good. And I also like, as we see the scouts fight here and they're just booming, FYI, game 2 isn't available for any other caster. Not sure if it's normal. Oh, really, Margugu? Okay, 1 sec. Okay, we're good to go. We continue on. It's fine. It's Hideout. They literally could just fast forward 15 minutes. And, you know, depending on how in-depth they want to be, they could still continue and get the same effect. Big deal here. Don't want to lose your scout, though. Miguel's going to run away. Dogao will probably not head in there. But Dogao's going to be annoying. And Dogao's going to run away. Okay. So to finish what I was saying, what was I talking about? Shoot, I forget. Okay, well, just tell me where I was and we'll get back. Oh, okay, I got it. I think it's really important for the system. Weird fight for Miguel to take there. Really weird fight. I don't know why you determined you shouldn't be taking the fight before and then decide to take the fight then. I think maybe he was hoping Dogao wasn't paying attention. But anyways, Scout's dead. But what I love, so like, let's say we're talking about Viper, okay? Now, Viper's maybe not the best example because Viper was first in his group in both seasons. And, yeah, my more so thinking for players who might not be able to accomplish that. But let's say, well, Leary's a good example. So Leary obviously could have gotten first in his group in the previous seasons. But Leary had 9 wins and he had 6 losses. And because Leary had 9 wins and 6 losses in the group stage, and because I felt he was a little underprepared, right? And because he was like, I'm going to make playoffs anyways. Who cares if I lose a couple games? Leary now is seeded in his group this season as a second place player. Tato in, you know, that very same season was 3rd place. So he's now seeded as a 3rd place player. So I think this year's groups obviously determines the playoffs, but it also determines where you're placed next time. I think all that stuff's really good. I like it. There are some downsides to it, which I won't necessarily get into, but yeah, I think that's good. Speaking of, I think this is smart from Dogao to try and stonewall this because the scout is dead for his opponent. But look at Miguel. Miguel's added a stable for some map control. And so he's actually going to stop these stone walls here. That's a good decision. If Miguel would have just sat back without taking any map control back, I would have been really surprised. So good play from both players here. 4th TC for Dogao as they expect this game to go late. We'll see a lot of eco. And now Dogao, who is playing catch up with villagers and eco, he doesn't have map control. But there is still a scout out there for Dogao, and that 3 HP scout could always kill a monk at any time. So that's something Miguel needs to make sure he finds. Could definitely see 4th town center being a bit natural for Miguel as well. He's actually going for a blacksmith, though, so we might see upgrades on these scouts. And he's coming forward with villagers. A siege workshop. I like the idea. The timing on it's going to be crucial. Because if you start to pressure this TC a little too late, Dogao will already have a TC there. But Dogao doesn't know that there's going to be a siege push from Miguel. Miguel's still sending villagers forward from one of these TCs, by the way. And I think he's just realized that he had his rally point there. Res collected. Kimura head, which is pretty crazy. So this still can work really well. Yeah, it's older meta, but it still was picked for a reason. And Dogao's just going with spears in defense of this right now. By the way, guys, my power has flipped on and off 3 separate times in the last 10 minutes. I assume everything's still good, but if there's issues with the recordings later, if it could be because of that, it's very jarring for me to have the lights go off in my room and my fan go off, on and off, on and off, on and off due to the storm. But my battery backup's working. Dogao with this freaking castle is risky, but it's actually the right play. He saw the siege workshop with the spear so good, and now he's just like, okay, I'm protected. Meanwhile, actually, spearmen are able to kill a couple light cav there. This game's just about timing sometimes, and the timing was right. As now Miguel wants to stonewall this area. He also has a monk headed this way, and he will try and get this relic, which is pretty far. It's a pretty far journey. So even though the siege push won't necessarily do anything for him right now, the fact that he could potentially get this relic could be really nice. Couple units out of the castle, though, on the prowl, looking for the siege. Nice attack ground there from Miguel, though. Get some good hits. Monk is going to stop here. And maybe Monk should turn around and run back, get that relic. I think Miguel actually wants to just stay here for a bit with a few more monks. And he's happy to just make light cav. And it's been an interesting game, right? Like, we know that Dogao has been on 4 TCs and he's caught up in eco, but he is going to lose out on some relics here. He clearly wants to click up to imp, though. This could lead to something. I'm going to assume that this is going to lead to a wall from Dogao. Still a lot of walling has to happen, and the monk for Miguel is still on the way back. Feels like it's really hard for Miguel to get a lot of value from the Lycav going forward. Like if Dogao is able to just add a couple barracks and go for pikes, that could be strong. But, ooh, villager spotted. Villager spotted and relic spotted for Miguel. I don't know why the pathing doesn't let those Lycav attack, but this is good. Like, what I'd like to see from Miguel is I'd like to see him try and play both sides. Try and harass as much as possible from both sides. So wall this. Get that relic too. But then make a gate and send villagers through there. Send units through there. Like this as well. Like, this is good. This whole area can be utilized. It's not easy. But apply pressure as much as you can. And force reactions from Dogao. And Dogao might make mistakes. Dogao is imping. It honestly feels like a really good game for an onager cut through the middle. Because the sides are going to be a big factor. But both, like, Miguel's going to be walled. So I think that Dogao could hit a wall, you know, figuratively and literally, and then think about an onager cut through the middle. Is wheelbarrow or handcart worth it for Khmer? You don't need to rush it as early as other civs, but it's definitely something you want to get, yeah. I don't have a ton of data on how more or less effective it is, but it is obviously a bit less effective due to the way Khmer farmers work, and that's going to be annoying. And Dogao is going to bring vills. So Dogao's like, this is still open. I'm going to make use of this. And that is not what Miguel wanted, because Miguel doesn't want to worry about this side. He doesn't want to have to set any units back. Miguel wants to prep for this. Guys, I've said this before. I hate when players have the relics on the front. Get that freaking relic home, Miguel. He's going to be going pikes as well. Khmer do get help, just like the Burgundians. And it's a wall war over here. So Miguel's really going to try and hold this position when his opponent's already an imp? Nah, man, there's no way. I mean, it just feels so risky. Maybe he feels like long-term the other civilization's better. It seems like this wall from Dogao might complete, thus denying the stone and gold for Miguel. Dogao right now can see his opponent's making a castle here. But there's a siege workshop, and he doesn't know what's in there. Miguel lost all of his light cap to the pikes there, though. And it's a greater eco for Dogao. I think it's a better civilization options-wise. He will lose the villager, though. And then so does Miguel. So, okay, they both agreed that that's not going to be walled. It's capped ram for Miguel. Capped ram help can work, possibly. But he's got a very short window before Dogao has hand cannons, too. Hand cannons and bomber cannons then become the problem. And I think this is why you don't see a lot of Khmer anymore, is because they lack bomber cannons. And it becomes awkward without bomber cannons in these Treb wars sometimes. But the Rams say hello. Choo, choo, choo. And Miguel's going to hold the position. He's going to take all 3 Trebs. Yo, that's sick. That's worth it. And now your castle stands, so you can chill. And you can make the decision on what you do next. I don't know what that next is. Because once the Rams go down, you are still up against hand cannons and help. But Rams pay off. Clearly, the answer right now is more Rams for Miguel. And Khmer do get siege ram, something Burgundians don't have. So I'd like to see maybe that upgrade. And oh my god, the bombard cannon is going to get rams down too. Get rammed in the face, you little dude. Dang. Still wonder, like, at what point is losing all these rams going to affect you, right? It feels like that is... There's a consistency problem here. If he took out the castle, you know, and then suddenly I'm a little bit more excited. But he took out Trebs that Dogao could have possibly backed up with. And then just taking out an archery range. But oh my god, talk about overextending. Dogao trying to sneak a castle up there. And both players really seem to be... You can see the stress of the situation right now. And you can see the tourney vibes. And also, it's just, you know, it's not super crisp with the timings from both of them. I think just how weird and chaotic the ram play was, it kind of got to Dogao there. Upgrades coming in from the university for Miguel. And I see crossbowmen, so he's thinking of going arbs, which could be good here. Halb raid, everyone's favorite type of raid. That's happening. Light Cav got to the stone. That's sick. But the Trebs for Miguel do have to back up. No bombard cannon really hurts here. His castle will go down. Dogao's castle will go up. And the Halbs will eventually be killed off. They have not been killed off yet, though. There's a lack of real substance to the army composition for Miguel right now. And remember, he put... This is his everything. His production buildings are here. His castle was here. This is it. He can make more, but it's not going to be easy. It's not going to help the flow of the game. And thankfully, that's why we've got the Halb raids to buy time. What a weird thing to raid with. He's killed 20 plus villagers with basically just Halbs. And it's with those distractions that you then use these moments to try and go in with the light cap. But Dogao's got tons of armies. He's got 70 army. Burgundian hand cannons that do more damage. And then he's got the Halbs in front. Close to getting full upgrades. His farms now bring in gold. Because he's Burgundians. And he's going to drop a castle on the wood line to disrupt Miguel even further. Miguel's really going to struggle right now. I can see Miguel's rust with some of the decisions. And I can actually see a really talented player that actually lacks faith a little bit too. Am I crazy for saying that? Do you guys see? I don't even know how to put my finger on it. Like, I think he's good enough to know that this is like going to be incredibly hard for him to hold. But he just felt like, well, let's just gotta try it because we can't go late game, you know. Seems to be a little bit of a struggle. Now, I've talked about these wood lines before, these types of castles before. I think going for castles on the other side of wood lines and hideout is sometimes a big mistake. But we haven't seen Miguel go Treb that down yet. That could be an easy Treb target right now. But he's still trying to focus on this. And, I mean, he doesn't have Arbalest yet. He's just gone into Hussar. It just really feels like it might be too little too late for him. And there's a bunch of units coming this way. We've got Halbs on the way. We've got Vills on the way to complete that wall. And Miguel just noticed it and is sending villagers to go re-wall that. It's not going to be in time. So he reacts. He knows about it. Remembers it. Dogao's going to get there first. To be fair, to go late game with the Civ matchup is not really a great decision either, I'd say. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. But, like, you do have the messy aspect where if it gets messy, you could potentially make something happen. So I actually like how Dogao... I don't like the castle initially, but the fact that he cut through is actually not bad. It's weird timing on those words because he's now got a quick wall, but... Because in theory, he can just run in and snipe those trebs now. Miguel trying to get his production buildings back up here. Just trying to hold. Villagers for Dogao have been spotted by the crossbows. Miguel brought the crossbows over here. So Miguel can re-wall this and can still hold this. What on earth? This is crazy. This is extremely messy right now. And you've got 3 relics for Dogao now because the 1 relic was here. I don't know where these crossbows came from, but they're in a position to cut off some reinforcements. Halbs versus Arbs. Actually a really important battle, and Miguel just calls it. And I think he calls it because he saw these units funneling through. These units were about to have full upgrades for Dogao, and the Elite Coustier would have taken out the trebs. The castle would have stood, would have raided Miguel. And ultimately, I think Miguel expected to lose this castle position as well. I expected it. The army comp at this point is 16 Arbs and 3 Hussars. It's not good enough. And we kind of saw there why the Burgundians are preferred, I think, due to their army comp alone. But that's a tricky thing there. Like, I think what Miguel had done with the stable edition was really smart. But Dogao was already on stone in the event that any forward pressure would come in. And this castle, getting this castle down to protect his eco from the siege push, kind of put an end to what Miguel wanted to do in Castle Age, and then meant the game was going up towards Imp. So that was Miguel's home map. That was his civilization choice. And now we go into Dogao's home map. I don't know what that is, but right now, kind of worried for Miguel. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get the best of Dogao today. The res collected looked good for Miguel, but it's the options and how cheap it is to get into those options for Burgundians as well that makes it really tricky for them. I guess the only thing they have a discount on is the stable units, but still. Stable units and stable upgrades. Okay, so I just said I'm lacking faith in my boy Miguel. I am, because it felt like there was just too much inevitability about like, game number 1 and game number 2. Went late in game number 2, but he never was really able to gain a strong position over Dogao. So we find him here. He's got the Persians, I think one of the better civilizations for this map. Builds his TC right away. We also have the TC right away for Dogao. Both players going to send one of their other villagers to the shoreline to dock here on Coast and Mountain. The reason I like Persians for this is because once that TC's up, plus 50 food, plus 50 wood. And then both sides are going to have the huts already, which act as houses. So you could very easily just drop like a first and a second fishing ship. And so I was curious on how up to speed Miguel would be with builds because, again, he hasn't been playing the game a ton. This is the first round. And this is precisely what everyone else has been doing. Where the, I guess where the changes happen is how many fishing ships do you make? And are you prioritizing to control water in Feudal Age or control land? In Gold, we saw a lot of players go for water. In Platinum, I think we're seeing a bit more prioritization over land. I personally feel, especially with the Persians, you should go land. And I'm going to tell you why. And it's going to seem way less exciting and way less informative because Greg in my chat just said why. But yeah, the dock has double HP. So, like, if it's 1 dock v 1 dock, the Persian dock's never going anywhere, right? You're just going to be able to play all 1 dock v 1 dock forever. If they go 2 docks, they're going to have to... How are they going to take it out? They're going to have, like, multiple flyers around your dock, and then you mass a demo, and then you surprise them, and then boom, bomb, bing, and maybe you come back on water. So, but the main reason is just there's just not a lot of fish. For the start, it's great. Having extra eco units feels good. But I think having the map control around the mountain area and prioritizing the hunt is probably more valuable. Now, one thing Miguel didn't do, which is surprising, is he didn't go for the second fishing ship. So I think here's where it's just a small thing. But like everyone, even without Persians, with going for 2 fishing ships and then going for their lumber camp. It shouldn't be that big a deal for him. This camel scout's huge. If you're expecting your opponent to go water, you'll see the camel scout on the shoreline to see what that villager's doing. There's no other villagers here. There's no way for the villagers to ever really be killed because the camels can't attack. So yesterday, it was Draken Veleza, this map, and Nili and I were talking about it. And Draken saw that his opponent still had the villager doing this, right, in Feudal Age. Or like right at the start of Feudal. And what Draken didn't sense, for whatever reason, I still don't fully understand it. He didn't sense that his opponent was then going land. You confirm that it's 1 dock, you should know that your opponent's then going land. That's kind of the idea. If you see 2 dock approach, then you know your opponent's not going land. It's basically how it goes down, because you only have so much wood. So the scouting's huge. You can kind of know based on what you scout. You don't have to scout everything. If you see they're going land, you know they're not going water, and obviously vice versa. So here's the opening for Miguel. What happens with this villager tells us everything we need to know. He's staying on 1 dock, and he's adding that barracks now. Dogao is going to be up in Feudal Age super quick, and Dogao is on gold already. So Dogao hoping to go for some water play. He's going to go for the fire galley. Did Dogao see that? Yeah, Dogao's scouting so good here. And he saw the barracks. So I don't think you have to, as Miguel left a sheep over here, but Dogao's not stealing them anyways. Honestly, I don't think you have to even scout the shoreline now. Because I think if Miguel goes for a second dock, he can't afford to go for his follow-up. But I'm glad I explained that. I hope it makes sense to you guys. Because now Dogao can go, I've got water, at least for now, with my very fast uptime with Malay. And now I defend on land. So we are still going to see a fire galley from Miguel on that 1 dock. And then he also adds a stable. Which Dogao's goat can almost see. Is it weird to you guys to see players not stealing each other's sheep? It's weird to me. I guess these guys have been friends for a decade and teammates for that decade. And, you know, they've got too much respect for each other. So I think this is one of the rare instances where maybe I get it. Whereas maybe in some of the others... it bothers me a bit more. But I think Dogao's like, this is my boy. They're just going to leave him there. And, like, I guess at this point, we might even not even see Miguel take him. But Miguel was kind of haphazardly leaving them there in the first place anyways. 2 OKD for Dogao. He's just faster to the ships here. So I think, you know, the thought process here for Miguel is don't lose your early fires. Like, you're going to lose water. Water's probably dead to you. Just be careful with this. Okay, it's not bad. And then try and focus a little bit on your scouts. I was thinking like demo inside the dock with 1 fire, and then you surprise Dogao. Barracks at home for Dogao. He's walled up. He's fully walled towards the side. Great reactionary play here. Is going to snag this rhino, which Miguel will see moving. Now, Miguel doesn't know about the full walls yet. He never scouted any of this with that camel. He's looking now. And he should know that it's full walled on the left, and he's going to hope to get it on the right. But God, is Dogao good with his timings. It's like the scouts get here. And now he's got the spears ready. I would run through and try and make it happen. The camel actually sacrifices himself so the scouts can run in. And ooh. See, like, these are the situations in which I feel usually Miguel does quite well. Now, He needs a kill. It's been 6-0 thus far, and he's going to get a kill there. Another scout actually ran through the TC, so he's got 4 in here still. He's adding a demo out of his dock. This is where Dogao is going to add more fishing ships. And Miguel, you're never going to get another chance to kill villagers. Could always stay in here. If he chooses to leave for some more middle map control where he's taking hunt and whatever else. Hunt's galore. Farming too. The scout's still back here, just chilling. There was going to be a new dock for Miguel a moment ago. And that just got denied because it was spotted by Dogao. Res collected right now. More for Miguel. He's collected more food. He's collected more wood. And you see what happened there is he knows that villager's there. He wants to kill it, but instead it seems like the villager will be protected by the fires. I like the transitions into farms. Housing problem here for Miguel, though. He does need to get the houses down. But we've got a market and a blacksmith for Dogao. So no offensive military building. Just the spearmen from the barracks. And Dogao's going to lose his vill. Eco KD 3-2. Dogao's food eco's not really looking that good. Like, yeah, he's got some fish. And yeah, he's going to have a little bit of hunt. But I feel like the farms could be good to mix in as well. And he could arrive to Castle Age quickly. And I'm sure that could be intimidating. But what's he going to do when he's there? The scout gets spotted. Scout goes down there for Miguel. An interesting one. Pretty soon, Miguel's going to pop out with 1 fire. And hope that... Oh, well. Okay, well, I thought he was going to hop out with 1 fire. Hope to distract the fires and have Dogao's group up and then hit with the demo. But he just hits with the demo there. Still should be a pretty close fight here. And still not giving up on water as this villager's going to come back for another dock. That's Persians for you. Only Persians could still have had this dock working the whole time. And then maybe only the Malay could have been up to the next stage at this time. What is happening here? He's distracted on water is what's happening. Scout goes down underneath the TC. Sloppy stuff from Miguel there. And he now has 18 on wood. He's got 6 on food. He's going to try and use the market as well. Really tricky map to play because you kind of need to take boars and hunt and everything all the time. Dogao just simply buys the stone, so that answers what he's going to do with Castle Age. And so this will just be a lands boom for him. But just 4 fishing ships. 4 fishing ships could still be exposed. Well played from Miguel to not give up water. And there's no real opportunity for Dogao to punish Miguel right now. I think this is a moment where Miguel just needs to balance his eco a little bit more. Prep for the next stage. Res collected is still much higher for Miguel. So Dogao definitely cut corners. But on a map where it typically goes late game, and it's normally about getting a big eco expansion in this area, the lack of scouting for Miguel in this area worries me. And the eco setup isn't perfect for booming just yet. I think Dogao's going to be okay on 2 town centers. He'll probably then be on 3 around the time Miguel's adding his second. And finally, the fishing ships for Dogao go down. But an interesting game. Again, my full take from both of these two is I'm seeing the week 1 situation for both of them. Hugely talented. We've seen a lot of gold games on Coast to Mountain yet already. We've obviously seen like a week and a half of platinum from other people's games. It feels like Miguel is a step behind, but still clearly there. And then even Dogao, there's just like some certain aspects of his timings that feel a little bit off. But it's like from such a high level we're seeing with some of the other games, right? And it's just a boom more now. Did anyone see how the scouts died for Miguel? The goats on this map have been confusing. Blue goat, red goat, scouting goat. I don't understand. I feel like the scouts would have been extremely valuable in this moment. I know the one died underneath the TC. But there was another one. There was like 2 or 3 more. Res collected probably a bit closer. Yep, it is closer than it was before. Dogao climbing up in the food count. But I feel like the scouts could have been really nice here to maybe try and snipe some of these monks as they just prepare for late game. In late game, I prefer the melee. Persians can dominate, though, if they can get up to, like, Knight Scorpion, Knight Paladin, or, like, Knight into Paladin in combination probably with hand cannons or something. But right now, Miguel should know there's monks out there because he used his goat, literally, to scout the monastery. And now Dogao sees the siege workshop with his monk and immediately turns around and is thinking, I might need pikes. And actually, he would have wanted to save those spearmen because the spearmen just died then to the knights. Camel. Goat. Just random little dots everywhere. Miguel looking around for damage with these 2 knights. I could have sworn it said he had 5 earlier. Wait, what? He never had 5. It must have been 5 fire galleys. Okay, well, that's good, because I thought he had lost them somehow. 13 to 13 KD. Miguel heading this way. But he's doubling back, and I think he was hoping to get the monk, and he's like, oh, no, he was ready for me, and... Oh, it deletes one. I really want to know if that was going to be a conversion or not, because he was super close to getting away there. Castle for Dogao, he's worried about his hill. That doesn't necessarily protect his starting TC, though. You definitely see redemption being considered here. Look at Dogao. He knows that knight's going to loop. He's looking for it. And the conversion probably will not come in. You could just convert a ship, though. Convert the ships. Try and kill fish if there's any from Miguel. Just do something with these conversions. Miguel actually pulled away there so he could maybe kill a monk. Doesn't happen. Nice job, Dogao. He actually gets the 2 stronger ships, but the knight is coming back. You stupid monks, you should have converted me when you had the chance. And now Sanctity comes in for Dogao, so his monks are a bit stronger in the future. So, still waiting to see the siege push. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. I mean, castle from Dogao, just like the previous game, just at the perfect time, and Miguel taps out. It's not over. I don't know if it's over. Maybe it is over. Krambit's going to come down and cleared it out. And guys, I'm just so sorry with how this series played out. I love Miguel so much. He's such a good player. But man, oh man, it didn't look great to start off TTL Platinum. It looked like Rust, though. The ability's there, right? It's just all tiny little tweaks on timings, maybe approach of strategy. Dogao, I expect him only to get stronger as well. I think Dogao, he was the favorite in this series. And Dogao wins 3-0 to start off the group. So, I'm interested to see how things play out in Group B now. Group B, we haven't had as many sets played just yet. But just to briefly sum this up before we look at the group. See, the res collected was still pretty close. I don't think Miguel had confidence today. I think he went in with a negative outlook. And, really just felt like he was going to be bested every single time. He absolutely could play this out. This castle killing 1 mangonel, it doesn't mean this game is over. I think he has a lot of respect for his opponent, knows how good Dogao is, and knows how inactive he's been. But, 1 second, I want to show you this group. I'm not sure what you guys think, but I think a couple people are going to be licking their lips with seeing Miguel's performance in the first week. And then possibly even Dogao. I mean, I thought Dogao played pretty good, but like Margugu, promoted player. Margugu is a promoted player. Is Margugu the favorite against Miguel based on what I've seen from Margugu in his first round where he won 1 game and now Miguel in that series? I think so. Draken, he was in Platinum the previous season. Got some big series wins on top of getting 1 win here or there against some of the bigger names. I could see Draken really feeling like I can take Miguel right now. So the thing that I need to back up with, though, is that that's just one round for Miguel. It's not a matchup he's normally done quite well on, even when he's in shape. And so I'm sure he could be more motivated, feel more confident in himself when facing a Draken or a Margugu at the very least there. Because what I felt this group was going to be was like Veleza or ACCM first or second, Dogao third, and then, a fight between Margugu, Draken, and Miguel over fourth, and then obviously the fifth or sixth position. So, bit of a disappointing series action-wise. It didn't bring us as many action-packed moments as maybe we could have hoped for, but it'll get better for those two.